Hi, I'm Jeff Sasagawa, Director of Product Management. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today for our first episode of the SlingCast series of webinar. So today, I'd like to first give a shout out to our customers. Many of you have been with us since we launched earlier this year, so thank you for that. Another shout out we'd like to give is to our Facebook user group. It's fun watching the daily posts and the feedback. It's very informative. In fact, anytime we are meeting new customers or people that are interested in the product, we definitely refer them to the user group because it's been very, very informative. And so kudos to you. And we also know that many of you might be not yet SlingStudio customers. So we've tailored some of this webinar, this SlingCast for you, for introduction to some of the different features. So on a regular basis, we're going to be streaming this live SlingCast. We're going to select different topics to dive in deep, whether it is post-production, whether it is how to do simultaneous streaming. We're going to have a different topic every episode. And so to help us understand what is informative, what you're interested in, I encourage you to give us feedback not only on how we did today for our initial episode, I also encourage you to take the survey at the end of this of the session. So some of you are probably familiar of SlingStudio is part of Dish Network. We are the inventors of the Slingbox, and the Slingbox technology has really enabled users to stream high-def video for the past decade over the internet, over the wireless networks, and really that has allowed us or helped create this robust wireless solution that we call SlingStudio. So speaking of SlingStudio, we are live broadcasting this first episode of SlingCast with our SlingStudio equipment. We'll kind of pan around. We'll pan around here. Here we go. We'll pan around here. The session. This is our beautiful, brand new studio, multi-million-dollar studio that we've dressed up to look like a normal conference room. Perhaps it really is a conference room. But we wanted to show how easy it is to set up the SlingStudio and turn any conference room, any venue, at any event into a multi-camera production. So we're going to have today 6 cameras. We're all wireless. We're going to be roving around the office. Might make a few mistakes, but we're definitely going to have fun doing this. So our agenda for today is we're going to cover a few customer use cases. We're going to cover a system diagram, some of the product information that for those that are new to SlingStudio. We'll also talk about our new features that we've newly announced, and we might even give you a sneak preview of an upcoming feature. We also have guest speakers for our initial episode here. We have 2 guest speakers that are very exciting to have them join us for this SlingCast. And stay tuned with us toward the end because we're going to have a special offer for our customer base. So stay tuned, stay with us. And at the end, we're going to also have a Q&A because we know there's plenty of questions that we've received already prior to this webinar, prior to the SlingCast, and we want to be able to address that. So also, we're going to take live questions. So go onto Facebook, post your questions, and we'll try to answer them as best as possible. And so that's what's included for today. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about our use cases. So I know many of you have been covering a variety of different use cases with your SlingStudio, but every week and sometimes every day, our customers and our partners are presenting us with brand new ideas, some productions that we've never even seen before. And because SlingStudio really enables you to do that, it's been very exciting. So we want to share a few use cases from our customers. And so let's start off with first live sports. Live sports is really one of the key focuses for us. We see some great use cases. It's a combination of live games, live events, it's social media, it's about performance enhancement using the multi-camera video analysis. It ranges from all different types of applications. So some use cases from our customers. The first one I'd like to talk about is the NCAA World Series. So they covered the Division III game with SlingStudio. It was fun to watch because they not only had cameras at first base and third base and behind the plate and all over the stadium, but they actually took a camera behind the center field fence underneath the scoreboard, 395 feet away. And so you get that MLB view of the pitcher throwing the pitch to the batter. And so a great experience for that. We also have customers like Clemson Athletics. They're using it in the social media area where they take their media events. For example, for the recent Sugar Bowl media event, which was also coincided with their big signing day, they used it at their practice facility, which, by the way, is a beautiful practice facility. Inside their indoor field stadium, they had situated all these different interview stations where each player on the defense and then later on the offense, they were situated at these different stations, and they had a roving camera as well as 4 different cameras fixed at the different stations. So they were able to give their web-based fans a look at this media day. So that was exciting to watch as well. And the USTA, another customer of ours, used it to cover the Fed Cup, where the USA versus Netherlands, and by the way, kudos to the USA team, they won the match. They used it for the practices and some of the interviews, as well as for some of the different events, and they were able to stream live to their Facebook fans, and as well as for live sports. So Folsom TV covered the nationally ranked Folsom football team at their playoff game. It was very exciting. They had cameras on the press box and all over the field, even the sideline camera. So you get that different experience of being on the field, just like being on the field. And they were able to stream it. And by the way, congratulations to the Folsom football team. They won the California State Championship. So we've been able to do things like that in sports. In other areas, like the professional videographers, we've heard many different applications about, whether it's covering concerts, the Nutcracker Ballet, or even, comedy night. What we're hearing from our videographers is they've been able to expand the business. They've been able to expand their projects, expand their customer base, because they can now live stream with SlingStudio and have that multi-camera network TV-like experience. We've also worked and partnered with DJI. Earlier last year, we announced that partnership. And so with that, the videographers have been able to give this new visual experience of not only having the ground cameras, multiple ground cameras, and not just one drone in the air, but multiple drones in the air. So you can go back and forth. The producer shows the different perspectives of ground versus, multi-camera drones. So very cool. It really shows off the new types of production, it's really untapped type of use cases that you can have with the drones and other equipment. And of course, House of Worship. House of Worship is a key focus for us as well, enabling the churches, enabling the pastors to be able to share, to be able to stream their sermons to their congregation online. Some of the churches are streaming just to a few dozen. Some of the churches are streaming to thousands of their congregation online. It's just a great experience in that area. As well as education. We have dozens of schools throughout the nation using our product, whether it is in their studio, they've been able to do the morning call video streams, or going outside of the 4 walls of their studio, going to the auditorium, be able to show the plays, being able to show the graduation, all the things that the community and parents want to see. And they've been able to do that by allowing the students to stream that with the instructor. And of course, they've also been able to stream their live sporting events, whether it's football, baseball, or basketball. And we've even done a couple of events at the Super Bowl. For example, at the Super Bowl this year at the Radio Row, Sirius Radio who's a customer of ours, used the product to cover celebrity and player interviews. So that was exciting. And as well as we've had many, many different corporate customers use the product for things like distance learning and webinars, just like what we're doing today. So those are the use cases. Now I'm going to switch over to a diagram or a image showing the different components of SlingStudio for those that are not perhaps as familiar. So first of all, SlingStudio, which I have right here, which SlingStudio is an integrated all-in-one solution. It's a video switcher, it's a recorder, it's an audio mixer, it's a streamer, it is a wireless access point, and as well as monitoring system all in one. And what's so great about it is portable and it's wireless. So if you take the optional battery, you connect it to the SlingStudio, and you could take it to virtually anywhere. You could take it to, like if we were at the Olympics, you could take it to the mountaintop and you could connect the battery pack, turn it on, and you don't need power. You don't even need cables. You can have, up to 10 cameras, a camcorder covering certain athletes getting ready for the downhill. You can have an action cam on some of the coaches. You can have a DSLR, that a videographer is using. You can have, again, up to 10 of them, and you can have them 300 feet away from the hub, and you can be recording and streaming that. So the use cases and the flexibility is just amazing. That's what we've been hearing from our customers. And so, in addition to the different camera sources that they can all be wireless, you can even use a phone, which is enabled with a free app, the Capture app, and we have a free app as well for the iPad for the console that allows you to switch. And we'll be talking about a sneak preview of another console app perhaps. And of course you can record all of it on an SD card or a USB drive and be able to stream. And most importantly perhaps is to be able to stream to not only Facebook, YouTube, virtually any service using our custom RTMP. So that is kind of a quick overview of what SlingStudio is. Next up, I'm going to show you the new features that we just announced. We've been releasing more and more features on a regular basis. Just last month in January, we released some cool features that really allow you to up your game in terms of having the ability to offer, for example, multiple pre-recorded videos into the console, and that allows you to queue up the different videos. So, for example, if you were at a game, if you were at a speaker series or a panel discussion, or some live performance, and you want to, in the intermission or during the halftime, you want to be able to show some different video clips, you can do that now. You can do virtually unlimited video clips. So let's, perhaps a better way to show you the feature, to show it off, we're going to kind of have a mocked up demo here where, just imagine we have a panel discussion. We have we'll have a discussion. So for example, I moderated a panel discussion on the future of sports broadcasting. So let's use that as a theme. I'm going to introduce you to our panelists, our esteemed panelists. So here we have Linda Ng, who's the office manager extraordinaire. She is one of our panelists for this mocked up demo. And then we also have Jay Berryhill, who is our VP of Sales and Business Development. So we want to make sure that we have that right look. So we have, of course, the ability to do side-by-side or PIP or other combinations. We'll set that up. So they're going to have a debate about the future of sports networking. And of course, we want to be able to, during the intermission of this, be able to show some video clips so that we can keep the audience engaged, keep the audience entertained. So imagine we're streaming this here, and I'm just going to start recording just because we want to make sure we capture this debate. And what they're going to talk about today is what is the future of sports? In particular, they're going to talk about this upcoming new sport that has really gained popularity. It's like esports, but perhaps even better. So let me add that camera and introduce the athletes we have here that are part of this brand new sport, and I'll bring them onto our camera here. It is again, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, it is this new sport called big time goldfish wrestling. So the athletes here are Nemo and Dory and Guppy, for lack of better names. So I'm using this to show you. Here is our panel discussion. You want to now bring in, because we're now at intermission, for example, and we want to bring in some video. So we simply tap on video sources, just like the way you imported a video one at a time before. You can add. So you simply add that, and then in your library you want to add basketball, because that's another candidate for, what is the future of sports, and then soccer. You just simply add that to the project. It takes us a few seconds. You're done, and now you can add. As Jay and Linda are having this debate on whether big-time goldfish wrestling is going to be the future of sports, we take a break, and now we can bring in these different videos. So you simply pull them in one at a time here. We'll add basketball, we'll add soccer. We can start to play these. And of course, you want to be able to check best practices to make sure whenever you're bringing in a video, you want to make sure the audio is at the right line level in case you need to tweak that, because you never know what that audio level will be if you haven't checked it. So that is done. And now we're ready to bring in the one video. We can adjust it, we can clip it, but let's just bring it in down here. And so we're intermission, we're showing that one video of basketball. And now we can preview what's next. We want to bring in a video on soccer. And so soccer, we can preview that. Let's say the basketball is over with, we bring it down, and we have now the soccer. And of course, you can also bring in other video. You can do, it's unlimited on the number of videos, because you can always queue one up. So I brought in a baseball, and I bring it here. And then let's say the soccer video is done, then I can just bring down the baseball game. So it allows you to have that, multiple videos, queue them up, be able to play back. So let's go back to our panelists and our athletes. I'm going to add back in here. I'm going to add back in here a couple of different views, and of course our athletes here. Could add the athletes back in here, and now we have that. And let's put our athletes into the program view. So another feature that you've been asking for a long time that we have enabled is instant replay. Instant replay is a very cool experience. Imagine this match here between the different athletes here, and you want to be able to show that instant replay to make sure you capture that moment of the different big-time wrestling with the fish. So what you do here is you want to set up your instant replay ahead of time. It's easy and it's quite powerful. You can set the replay duration. Let's say it's 5 seconds. You could lower it down to 4 seconds or even 3 seconds, up to 60 seconds for the replay. You can also set the playback speed. With goldfish, they're moving around. You want to keep them not at real time. Perhaps you want to slow them down to quarter speed. You can do that. And of course, in this you want to mute them because there's probably a lot of noise going on with that environment. So you're ready to go. And so just imagine we're watching this event here, and there's not as much movement as usual, but just imagine they are. You can press replay, it jumps back for that 4 seconds, and it gives you that slow motion of Nemo and Guppy moving, and gives you that ability to give you that instant replay of that upcoming event. And so that's another feature that we've enabled. Let me now talk about another feature you've been asking for. You've been asking for the ability to swap and to be able to toggle between preview and program. So guess what we've done? We've enabled that. So now all you need to do is tap, and you can swap the preview with the program, or you can just simply pull it down and you get that same experience. So we've listened, we've enabled, and now you have the ability to toggle between preview and program. So I'm going to stop recording here because I now want to go to the next room, because as I promised, I want to show you a sneak preview of a brand new feature that many of you have been talking about or asking for, is an alternative console. We want to have an alternative console, and we're going to show you what it is. It is the Mac-based console, so allow you to have the option of not only having an iPad so that you have the ability to be fairly nimble, move it around and use it, but you also have an option to use the Mac-based console, more of a traditional physical key. And to show you that, again, since we have wireless cameras, we're going to walk from our beautiful Studio A over to Studio B. And I'll introduce you to Pratik Bansal, who is our senior product manager for SlingStudio. He just happens to be over in our beautiful Studio B, which we have coincidentally. Pratik, I love what you've done with Studio B. It looks like you've dressed it up to be a typical ordinary conference room. Great job.
Thank you.
I know that we haven't released the Mac console, but I wanted to give our audience, our SlingCast audience, a sneak preview. So if you don't mind, please go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. Hey guys, so what we are going to show over here is a sneak preview of the SlingStudio Mac console. So as you can see, this is on my MacBook. I have the SlingStudio console, which is connected to the same hub unit that Jeff was connected to. So we switched from an iPad console to a Mac console. And over here, as you can see, I have all those 4 camera feeds showing up in the video sources section. And the top left is the preview window, and then the top right is the program window. So yes, there is a difference in the layout that you can see. People who have been familiar with the iPad console, we have a different layout, leveraging more screen space that we get with the Mac. The beauty about this layout now is you can see the graphics along with the video sources at the same time. So you can see the bottom row has all the graphics that you might pull into your project. Now, other thing that we did was enable keyboard shortcuts. So now with the press of 1, 2, 3, 4, you can switch different camera angles to the preview. And if you want to directly push it to program, you do a command 1, command 2, command 3, command 4. And if you want to directly send a preview to program, you can use the space bar. So there are multiple other keyboard shortcuts available. They are available in the menu, so you can go and look at it. In addition, we have all the other screens that you're familiar with the iPad console, so like audio mixer, you have the Hdmi output, you have the dashboard. All of this are available through the shortcut keys on the bottom right corner, and then you have the record and live indicator on the top right corner. Again, please be on the watch out for this Mac console announcement very soon, later this week. And I also want to give a quick shout out to all our beta testers who gave us really great feedback on our SlingStudio Mac console, and we have incorporated a lot of that feedback into this release. So thank you again, and with that, I hand it over back to Jeff.
Thanks, Pratik. That is very cool to be able to have an alternative console. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that sneak peek at the Mac console. Let's go back into Studio A, where I'm going to out some tips and tricks. So here we are back in Studio A. So every episode we're going to give some tips and tricks, and today's theme is about what do you do prior to the event, because the crew here, we've been for the past 18 months going to different live events with our customers, with our partners, streaming live and doing live tape recording for hundreds and hundreds of hours. And in doing so, we've come up with our best practices. And so again, today we're going to focus on what do you need to do, what should you do prior to a live event. So first of all, as you know, just like any other type of video production, you want to decide on what type of live streaming service. So for example, if you're going to stream to YouTube, if you're going to stream to Facebook or any other service, you need to obviously decide on that, and then the quality, the video quality, the resolution, and the frame rate. So for example, if you're going to do a 720p 30 megabit live stream, 4 megabits is fine, and therefore the best practice is to use double that. So it would be 8 megabits upstream. 8 megabits upstream, that's the best practice. You can still use 6, but 8 is definitely an objective. So now the next thing you want to do is ensure that you have that ability, that upstream. And so if you are at a different event, at a different venue where you haven't been, you should talk to them and request this 8 megabit, but also ideally you want to have a dedicated Ethernet line for this upstream. If you can't get a dedicated Ethernet line, then a dedicated wireless SSID for your upstream is the next best thing. And if you can't do that, then you can either live with the public Wi-Fi so long it's around 8 megabits or above 4, and be able to stream. But if you can't get that, the options are you can purchase or rent a bonded modem, whether it's 2 modems or more. That gives you the ability to live stream anywhere and have access to the internet. There's also the the portable mobile Wi-Fi routers that are associated with the cellular network. Those are good as well, and even your smartphone. Many times we've gone to live events and we've used our smartphone, and that we've streamed high def for long periods of time. So those are your alternatives for being able to live stream. Now you also want to be able to test that. So make sure you go to the venue and you actually, not the day of the venue ideally, you want to do it a day before or several days before, because even though they might be telling you they're giving you 8 megabits, you never really know. So go to the event, make an appointment, and have a device that you can measure the upstream. What we do is, because the SlingStudio is portable, all you do is go to the event, plug in the battery, you can walk around, you can open up the app, you can test the upstream, and you can also situate the cameras to see the different camera angles. So it's a great experience to be able to do that check ahead of time. The other item that you want to do prior to the event is to set up your event, to set up the destination information and make sure you're ready to go, whether it's on your desktop or in the app. And you can also do it the day of, but it's always convenient and saves time if you do it ahead of time. So that takes care of the preparing for the actual streaming. There are other things that you need to prepare for that you typically have to do, but I want to just highlight a few things that will help you with the SlingStudio. So the next one is the media. You want to be able to import graphics, you want to be able to import video as we showed before. And so we have this information on our support page in the KBR's knowledge base articles, and so you can find that. I'm showing it here. For graphics you want to do PNG or JPEG. For video you want to make sure it's MOV or MPEG-4, and the other details are shown here. So it's important that you know this so that when you bring them in, you're ready to go. The other area that you should focus on is storage. We all use storage in our production, but because SlingStudio is a very high performance solution, you need to have the proper storage. SD cards are common, obviously. USB 3.0 drives are common. But we want to highlight, because it's critical, because we are actually writing at times 7 files, 7 streams to the box, to the storage. And so you want to have the proper SD card, which are widely available, shown here in the graphics, and also be able to have the right USB solution, USB 3.0. So pretty simple, but definitely important to know. So let's next move over here and talk about the camera link. So the camera link is what is really the unique part of SlingStudio. It allows you to connect to any camera, as I said before, and wirelessly stream up to 300 feet. And so what you need to do, because this is a brand new type of product, you need to be able to test it out. And most importantly, you need to join the camera link with the SlingStudio hub. And that's very easy to do, but it's best practice, again, tips and tricks, to do it ahead of time, to do it a day ahead or several days ahead. So it's very simple. All you do is you open up the app after you've powered on the SlingStudio, and you are in WPS mode, and you can join the camera link to the system. And after that, when you go to the event, you turn on the box, the hub, and you turn on the camera link. They're already joined. They just simply automatically connect. And since you're joining this ahead of time, it's also best practice to make sure that the camera that you're going to use, and we're just using a simple consumer camera for demonstration purposes. Make sure the camera, you can make sure it has HDMI out, which virtually every camera does, and then you simply make sure you have the right cable, because you don't want to go to an event where you don't have the proper cable for your camera. The Camera Link has a micro HDMI connector, so with the product is included is a HDMI cable, which is micro, and on the camera side it's mini, so it's a HDMI mini. If your camera is a micro HDMI out or standard, you will need another cable. So those are available on our website for purchase. They're also available in other stores, so make sure you have that. And while you're connecting, you should also test the HDMI out video from your camera. You want to make sure you have clean HDMI. And clean HDMI really is being able to have a video and not have any of the overlay graphics that have the settings and the information about. So turn on your camera after you've paired and connected your camera link to the box, to SlingStudio. Open up the app, make sure the video from the camera through the camera link is just video. There's no other overlay graphic. So pretty simple, but once it will definitely help when you get to your event and you simply turn it on. You don't have to worry about that. Another thing that's associated with our product, because it's portable, many of the devices are battery operated, you may want to have some additional hours, operating hours for your camera link. This has a built-in battery which gives you 2 hours. With what we do typically is we take an external battery pack. You can buy these at any electronics store and be able to charge these up and connect them via the the USB here cable, and be able to attach this to your camera link, and while the camera link is attached to the camera. So actually, why don't we move over here to show you an example of this. We have our camcorder here with a camera link mounted. We have a USB cable connected to an external battery pack. With this we have plenty of battery life. 4 hours. You can use larger batteries and get up to 6 to 8 hours. And another thing that you want to bring with you to this shoots, because sometimes they're longer than 4 hours, there's some are lengthy 8 hours, bring a USB module battery charger for USB, so you can charge all your different devices, your camera links, in case you need, or some extra batteries. It's always a good use case to have that. So with SlingStudio multi-cameras, you have this multi-camera experience, and when you have multi-cameras, you want to be able to have the director. In this case, we have Amir, who is directing our SlingCast webinar. The director wants to be able to talk to, like any production, to the camera operator. So having an intercom solution that is, there are high-end headsets that allow you to have the intercom connection with the camera operators. You can even use walkie-talkies as well as apps on the phone, just a variety of different options. But because you're using an intercom system, and if Amir is busy having, sometimes if it's a walkie-talkie, to press the intercom, he wants to have his hands free so that he can just use the other hand to switch the videos. He doesn't want to have to hold the iPad in his hands. He wants to be able to have the iPad mounted. And so here's an example where we have the iPad on a mount which connects to a tripod. And this is from Iographer, which is one of our early partners. A great product that they offer is a variety of different mounts that allow you to have your iPad or your smartphones connected. So that's really the tips and tricks that we want to share with you. Make sure that you are prepared for your streaming. Do that test ahead of time. Make that appointment. Make sure you have the right upstream bandwidth. Make sure you have your media and your storage tested. Camera link, pair it, connect it, test the HDMI, and make sure you have your accessories like batteries. So next up, as I promised, we have some guest speakers here. And our first guest speaker is Scott Primo from the Central Christian Church in San Jose. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. It's exciting to have a guest on our first episode. So if you could just talk about what you do on as the pastor, what do you do for your live streaming with SlingStudio? If you just give us
Sure.
some background.
So when I began this journey, we were looking at different solutions, and the first solution we tried was a product called Hdmi Television Studio by Blackmagic, and it was very complex. We ran into a lot of problems with the stability. And when we made the switch to SlingStudio, the things that it did for us that was very beneficial was it's simple. We have a volunteer staff, so the people running our cameras and audio and video, they're not trained professionals. So we needed a user-friendly, simple solution, and SlingStudio did that for us. And I needed stability. And this platform has been very stable, which is very important, especially when you are streaming live.
Right.
We cannot have things failing. So that has worked out really well for us. Our setup is quite simple. We have 2 services on Sunday mornings, and we live stream our services. That means we've got music, we've got a whole band, drums, bass, guitars, so, electric guitars,
Drones.
keyboards.
You have drones.
No drones, no drones.
Okay, drums.
Yeah, drones. But it would be nice to have some drones, maybe flying overhead, and
cool.
we're not really into the whole smoke and lights and all that kind of stuff. Some churches are, but we do want excellence and quality, and so we send our audio out from a digital mixing console into the SlingStudio, and we take. Right now we just have one camera that we're using, as well as we use a camera link connected to our computer, which displays our slides. We use a program called Pro Presenter for that, but for the graphics and for all that kind of stuff. And so we can switch between those two.
Right.
And that is what we send out live to our YouTube channel. And it's very simple. It works great. We have people who are watching our services live who can't make it to church, who are on business travel, all places in the world. And then we have some, we have some people who have just been attending online as well, our church, and so that works out really well. Then what we do, we also use the HDMI output.
Right.
So we send that to, we have a nursing mother's room where we can broadcast that signal, and they can watch our service live and listen to the audio through that, and that works out really well. And then what we do is we typically don't leave the SD card.
Yes.
Is
for
very
storage.
Yeah, for the storage is great. It's simple to remove that, and we can take that video and edit it if we want, and then typically we'll upload that to YouTube as well.
That's great.
So that's our setup. It's simple. It works for us, and
well, thank you for sharing your workflow and how SlingStudio is fitting. I love how you're using HDMI to share the service to the expecting mothers or the mothers in the mothers in the waiting room, as well as to your congregation that is remote. So that is very cool. So thank you for sharing that with us. I want to next up we're going to have another guest speaker, Adam Frick, who is the CEO and founder of Folsom TV. What I'm going to do is we're going to show a short video clip, a portion of a video clip that shows how Adam and the Folsom TV has used SlingStudio in their video production. So let's go to that clip. We'll come back.
I first got into video production with my kids' videos. You buy the camera, you start recording your kids, and then you want to edit them and get just the best parts of it. I see an idea and a need, and I just jump at it. My name is Adam Frick. I have a company here in town called Folsom TV, and I've been doing live streaming and post-production video production. Before SlingStudio.
Welcome back. So again, like I said, we're here with Adam Frick. So Adam, It was great to see the game. It was great to see what you've done with SlingStudio. If you could share some of those insights of, a little bit about your production, what type of work you guys do, and how you've used SlingStudio in your workflow.
Sure. So we started out doing live video just with a selfie camera, which I posted a video earlier, a little promo video showcasing all the guys here. But we really wanted to do multi-camera, and I really wanted to do sports. And we looked at different products and things to be able to do that, and when we found SlingStudio, this was the perfect product for us to be able to go out and do these games. And our first game that we ever did, and Jay will attest to this, he actually called me the week before the product was coming. We got it the day before the game, and I learned it 24 hours before we actually went live with a multi-camera football game. And our first game was awesome. It went really well. We only had one camera that first day, and then we also had a roving camera with an iPhone just to kind of catch crowd action and reaction. And just with those two cameras, we did a really good broadcast for our first time. But when I first looked at this, I wanted to create an NFL-type broadcast with a live stream and multi-cameras, and that was my goal. And I think what we worked up to is 4 cameras, 2 on the 10-yard line on each side, and then we had a camera on top of the eagle's nest. Then we had the roving cameras that went around, and we really were able to capture the cheerleaders, the coaches, behind the scenes, the overall view, and then the really tight view of the crucial plays at the end zone. So it really did blow us away.
And you were telling me about how it has allowed you to expand your business in certain respects, and also be able to have sponsorships and other types of options for you.
Yes, all the features that SlingStudio offers gave us the ability to then go out and grab sponsors to help pay for all the crew that we had there. Yeah, really, it was so much fun doing football games this year.
It was definitely fun watching. Especially when I saw the roving cameras, and you can see that, like you said, the sideline shot, and you can see the players running off the field after scoring a touchdown, and have that view of the players celebrating with each other, or the coaches during a timeout talking to the players. It was as if you were there. Like you said, it was like an NFL broadcast.
It was better than being there, because the one camera shot on the field where the players are coming out from the Bulldog,
right,
and there's a camera right there catching all the players come out. You can't get that by sitting in the stands, So that right there really did bring people into the broadcast or the live stream. What was really even better than that was the community that it created online. All the people that were logging in from all over the world, because the Folsom Bulldogs are a really good team, and they've got a huge following from all the alumni and friends and family and people that know that team. So they were able to log in from all over the world. In fact, I had a guy text me and said he was logged in 32,000 feet in the air. He was watching the game on a plane on his way to a business trip.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it was very cool. And this whole conversation was going on the entire time that the game was going on. So we were able to interact with those folks, and it was like a class reunion too. So kids were talking to each other and saying, "Hey, I haven't seen you in so long, and I'm logging in from this state, and I'm logging in from this state." And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. So next up, thank you, Adam. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next up, we have, as I mentioned, I wanted you folks to stay tuned. I wanted you to stay tuned to our SlingCast, because we have a special offer. We have a special offer for our customers, our registered customers. And I think you'll find it very compelling. And to give you more information about it, here is Jay Berryhill, our VP of Sales and Business Development.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, have you heard mentioned today, SlingStudio customers are the lifeblood of our business. Your ideas, your feedback, your recommendations do nothing but help us build a better product. And thank you for trusting us. You're also one of our best sales groups. And so what we want to do today is introduce a referral program that takes advantage of all the great ideas that you've been giving us, and show our appreciation for all the ideas and feedback from your interactions. So today on this first ever SlingCast, we're introducing the SlingStudio referral program. And it's simple. Refer a customer for SlingStudio and have an opportunity to earn more SlingStudio gear. It's very straightforward. It can be a church, it can be a museum, it can be a school. Anyone that can take advantage of a great wireless multi-cam solution. Here's the way it works. Refer one customer, customer buys, and you have an opportunity to win a SlingStudio battery. Everybody needs an extra battery. When refer two customers and the customer buys, you get both a battery and a backpack, SlingStudio backpack. Refer three and they buy, you get a SlingStudio battery, a backpack, and a camera link. That's almost $700 worth of SlingStudio gear for you to enhance your SlingStudio experience and your video production. Also, that's not all. The customer that you refer will also win a free USB SlingStudio adapter. So it's a win-win all the way around. You get more SlingStudio gear. We get more great customers into the SlingStudio community here, and they can buy from any authorized reseller of SlingStudio product. So be on the lookout for all the registered SlingStudio customers. We'll be sending you an email over the next day that will give you all the details of the program. That will direct you exactly how to go register customers and make sure that you have an opportunity to take advantage of this great offer. One last thing. If you've purchased SlingStudio, for all you customers that have purchased SlingStudio, if you haven't reviewed the product yet out there, please go do it. We appreciate all the feedback we can get, and we want to make sure that we're connected to you. So with that, I'm going to go over to back to Jeff, to the product experts, to answer any of your questions live here at our first SlingCast. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. That is very, very good incentive. Everyone, like you said, needs an extra battery pack or camera link. I certainly do, but I guess I don't qualify for the incentive program. But so, as I mentioned, we're going to finish up with a Q&A. And to answer your questions, because we know we've seen plenty of questions come in prior to the show and prior to the SlingCast, as well as we've received some real time. So to help you with these questions, we're going to bring back Pratik Bansal. We call him Mr. Answer Man. So Pratik, if you can come back to the podium here and give us the answers. Give us the answers.
Thank you, Jeff. First of all, thanks for joining us on our SlingCast. I've seen a lot of comments and posts, and so I will try to answer a few of them, and if we cannot finish all of them, then we'll make sure that we go and reply to that on that SlingCast post. So let me start with the first one. So Andy Cook asked about need help on line-in audio. Do we need a portable soundboard in order to control the line-in volume? So that's one of the things which we hear a lot. So right now, SlingStudio supports an audio line input. So make sure, a lot of people get confused that it's the level that they're bringing in is a mic level or line level. So you need to have the hot signal to feed into the audio line-in input on the SlingStudio hub. In addition, there are other ways you can bring in the audio as well as through the embedded audio from each of the camera sources. So there are a total of 5 audio channels available on the SlingStudio. 4 of them are coming from the embedded audio from each of the 4 camera sources. And then the 5th one is the audio line-in. And then you can go and mix and match. You can do always on or audio follows video options to bring in the right audio to your live feed. So the line-in audio can come from an external mixer board, or if you're just bringing in a mic, make sure you have some kind of a mic to a line level adapter before feeding into the SlingStudio Hub audio line-in jack. The next one, Mike ask about when will the SlingStudio be released in Canada. I think that's a general question we get about releasing internationally. So we are working on it, guys. So please be on watch out over the next few months, where we will work on releasing the SlingStudio hub internationally. The next question, Vic asked about, does SlingStudio support PAL? So again, as we work on releasing the SlingStudio hub internationally, we will be adding the support for the PAL. And this is, again, the beauty is it will be just a software update. You don't need to change the hardware at all. So again, guys, we are working on it, and we really appreciate your patience on this. The next one, Tony Nunes, the question about my drone, does my drone work or the GoPro work? Or in general, the question we get a lot is, does my camera work with SlingStudio? So make sure, we have a list of compatible camera devices that we have tested, and they are available on our SlingStudio knowledge base. However, that doesn't mean if the camera is not on that list, that it's not going to be supported. I think there are a couple of things you need to check. Firstly, if the camera has an HDMI output. So it could be a micro, mini, or a standard HDMI. So for the drones, for example, make sure that the drones have an HDMI controller out. So you need to have an HDMI controller, and that take the HDMI output feed from there that you can feed into the direct HDMI input on SlingStudio hub, or use the camera link. The GoPro has a micro HDMI out, so you can directly feed it into the SlingStudio hub, or use a camera link for that as well. And then the other things you need to be aware of is the camera provides a clean HDMI output. What I mean by clean HDMI output is there's no menu overlays that you see when you connect the camera's HDMI output to so the quick way to check is just connect it to a TV display monitor that you have and see if you can get a clean HDMI out. There are times that you might have to play around with the camera settings to get it, but it should be easy for you to test it out. And the second thing you need to check out is also the audio over HDMI, right? Means if you're looking at getting embedded audio from that camera, then make sure that there's audio also that comes over the HDMI. And again, you can test it with connecting it to a TV which has speakers. Again, we have a knowledge base article on this, so make sure you check it out. So next question I see is from Chris Gardner about using RTMP. There's always a keyframe issue. Is there any way to fix this? So right now, SlingStudio over RTMP supports a keyframe interval of 1 second. Now that should work with most of the services, even though if they might require more than 1 second. So 1 second is kind of a superset, and it should work with 2 seconds or 3 seconds. So we have seen people, like for example, Restream.io gives out a warning that, hey, keyframe is not 2 seconds. They look for a keyframe of 2 seconds, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work. We have tested it, and it should work with most of the services. But if you still continue to see issues, please reach out to our support team. The next question I see is from Joe. Do you have a scoreboard feature yet? So we have a basic scoreboard lower third available as part of the SlingStudio hub, and you can also bring in your own custom scoreboard scoreboard, and you can do a text overlays. But we do understand you're looking at more of an integrated solution, and that's something we are working on. We have as a part of our roadmap. But the key thing, we really love to get more of your feedback as we work on prioritizing the next set of features. So please make sure you join the SlingStudio user group. There's a pinned post which has a feature request survey link, so where you can provide us more feedback on what are the features you're looking for. That would help us enormously to prioritize our next set of features. So the next one I see is Tony again asked about the auto camera switcher. Again, that's a feature. That's a feature that we definitely hear about it. So again, we are looking at it as prioritizing against all the other features that we keep hearing. So it would enormously help, again, going back to my previous comment, to send this feedback through the feature request survey link. The next question I have is Miguel. He asked about, do you have to hit record on the cameras in order for SlingStudio to capture the stream? So no, you don't have to hit the record unless you want to have a local recording on the camera SD card itself. So for SlingStudio, all the recordings are going to be done, including the ISOs, the individual camera source recording, plus the live camera. They all are going to be available. They can be recorded on this SD card or a USB drive that could be connected to the SlingStudio. So for that, the recording option is available from the SlingStudio console app, and you can turn on and off. But if you're looking at individual camera recordings, then make sure individual on the camera itself, native camera recordings, for that you need to turn on the camera. So turn the record button on the camera. So the last question I see is, can we get the chroma key options? So that was from Nunez. So again, thank you for providing that feedback. So we are working on prioritizing the next set of features. And again, going back to my previous comment, please send us feedback through the feature request form. With that, I think we are running out of time, but be sure that we will respond to all of your questions on that post. So thank you for joining in. And with that, I hand it over back to.
Thanks, Pratik. That was great. Very informative. I know you could have probably continued with answering more and more questions as you usually do. So we're at the end of our SlingCast, our first episode. I hope you found it informative. We had a lot of fun with it. We have, like I said, several different topics that we have in mind, but I encourage you to let us know what would you like to be discussed at the next one, some new ideas, talk about what type of, how you felt this was carried out, and give us some feedback. So we have a survey on our Facebook page that we'd love to have feedback from you on any things related to this SlingCast, as well as other information and questions. So please go ahead and do that. And I'd like to thank our special guests, Scott and Adam, for attending our first episode. That was very cool to have some guest speakers, and we'll continue to do that in the future. I'd also like to thank all of you for participating, for tuning in to our first episode. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you found it also entertaining and informative. And so until the next time, I'm Jeff Sasagawa with SlingStudio. Thanks.